Hallo, herzlich willkommen zur 54. Folge von Suzerain. Immer noch ohne Apfel. Ähm, Diese Folge sind wir in Holzhaus unterwegs und haben, oh ja, ein etwas längeres Meeting, I guess. Lucian stood upright, holding a large folder of files under his arm. He bowed in acknowledgement. He looked exhausted. Ooh. The cabinet is gathered in the right room, sir. The Vice President will be opening this session soon. We can go in whenever you're ready. Thank you, Lucian. You look tired. How are you holding up? It's nothing, sir. I'm ready and able as always. Are you sure? I'm always honest with you, sir. I'll admit, this last year was tough. Especially all the lobbying work. But it's nothing to break me down, sir. Trust me, I'm fine. He fixed his tie. Anything you want to say before we go in? No, sir. Just keep your cool with the cabinet. I believe concerns will be raised in the meeting. What concerns? Our failure of the reforms had a huge impact on public opinion, and also on some of the ministers. From the looks of it, the party is quite discontent about the whole situation. They believe your presidency has destroyed the USP's prestige. Schlecht? We need a trust. We have to do something to prove our capabilities. Of course, sir. Let's discuss that in a meeting. He gestured at the door with the files he held. I think we should go, sir. Mr. Vice President must have started the session already. Lucian held the door for me, and we both left the office for the white room. Mein Gott. When we entered the room, Peter was speaking to the cabinet members, who were already seated around the table. As soon as they noticed me, they all stood up. Good day, everybody. Please have a seat. Peter turned towards me. Everybody expected him took their seats. Everyone? Everybody expect him. Mein Gott. Okay. Him took their seats. He stood right next to the chair in the middle. And here's our president. He held out my chair for me to sit down and smiled. Please. I sat down. Peter walked to his seat and spoke, still standing. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to discuss our current status and plan the remaining of our term. I know that some of you have had your concerns about our style of governance so far. There will be a time to speak about these in the meeting today. But I must also thank you all for your hard work so far. We are very lucky to have a team like this. All you have been invaluable to this administration. Valia grimaced at his remarks. Having said that, now we have reached a critical point of our term. We are nearing the end. We have worked long and hard, but we couldn't reform the soldier constitution. The deep state has acted once more. Our proposal had gathered 166 votes, but was unlawfully rejected. The very parliament we control has stabbed us in the back. We have reasons to believe that this was an organized effort which Mr. Sol himself was implicated in. The cabinet members started looking at each other. Lucian and I had begun investigating who let us down at the vote, when we needed them the most. Gloria and the conservative wing of the party didn't back us up. Kesaro Kibana and the National Front MPs didn't like the proposal and voted against it. He paused and looked around the room. But the past is past. We must now look towards our future. We are investigating and analyzing our thoughts. We will... Okay, was heute los? We will be taking measures accordingly. He glanced at both Lucian and me. Our party still remains divided. In order to look at the future, we may need to make some changes. On the other hand, the opposition is exploiting our failure to reform. The latest polls show a steep increase in the opposition's support. So, let's start the meeting with a brief look at some reports. He fumbled with the stack of papers in front of him. With the latest developments, we have seen an enormous decrease in our popularity. The public opinion about our party is at an all-time low. He took out a piece of paper from the stack and inspected it. A major concern of the people is the state of our economy. We are slowly slipping into a depression. This will have dire consequences for our administration. We mustn't lose hope and give it our best. Scotland needs us more than ever. Peter turned to me. I'll give the word to the President now. He sat down. Thank you, Peter. Everyone's eyes were focused on me. First, I want to talk about our new focus and some of my plans for it. The state of our economy is very concerning. It must be our focus to achieve quick economic development. Simon nodded in agreement. Scotland needs to become an economic powerhouse. Almost everyone seemed to be in agreement with me. If there are no comments, let's move on with the meeting. Next, I want to hear brief reports from each ministry. Peter gestured at Simon, and he immediately stood up. Mr. President, dear colleagues, Mr. Vice President was pretty on point with his summary of the current economic status. He also used the word depression. He couldn't have been more correct. Our GDP has shrank by 15% last year. This downward trend has broken our economy over the last year. If we cannot contain this in time, we will end our term, in the truest of sense of the word, in a depression. Thanks to our balanced budget, we are eyeing a manageable increase in our national debt at the end of the term, if my economic projections hold up along with the current trends, of course. On the other hand, unemployment has seen no positive changes. There has been an increase in joblessness. It is now at 26%. We have lost control of the situation. We caused millions of people to lose their jobs. He paused for a moment. This is terrible. Is there more to it? Well, I don't want to get into much detail right now, but I have to say that sadly our first infrastructure project has not resulted in much growth yet. But apart from all that, I finished with an update on our latest project. The manager reported that everything is going well and very fast with the Conduit Industrial Zone. I'll keep it brief for the sake of the whole meeting and end my report on that note. Thank you, Mr. Hall. Gus stood up as soon as Simon sat down. He asked for a private audience with the cabinet respected. It was just the two of us in the room. I will also keep it very brief, Mr. President. The L1 railway has already proven to be a success. We have managed to bring food prices down in the Greater Holzot and Gelsland region. Our agriculture output has increased, and we are already seeing investments coming into rural areas. The trade deal with Welland increased our agriculture exports from the Bergen region. Our farmers are still suffering. Our ministry did its best by giving out subsidies to local farmers, but our agriculture production remains the same. Additionally, I bring good news regarding our investment. FC Enrica has seen a boost of ticket sales after your endorsement and participation in the club. The management decided to send over a slice of the pie. The manager personally thanked you for the support you have shown to the team. Several players have already decided to join the USP. The money should be arriving in your account shortly. That would be all from me. Thank you, Mr. Mosher. Gus invited the cabinet back in the set and sat down. Gus invited the cabinet back in and sat down. Achso, ja, die sind alle rausgegangen. Okay. Some were obviously opposed to such behavior. Next up was Pascal. Mr. President, our state facilities require immediate attention. We are experiencing long lines in the front of hospitals everywhere. We are also currently investigating some reports of a small polio outbreak around a village called Hamir. I believe we can get into more detail in our policy meeting. Thank you, Mr. Pennywall. Joseph stepped up. The Ministry of Defense has a very important report regarding our situation with Rumburg. The investigation showed that Rumburg was in fact weaponizing rebels against our state. We have learned that they have been aiding the bloodish rebels in Welland too. Our military must stand ready for any possible attack coming from Rumburg. We have gathered intelligence regarding their military research and production. They are building a massive army. We urgently need to increase our own military production. We cannot let them threaten us like this. Make the necessary arrangements, Mr. Luncia. We'll have to use whatever we have to its limit. Of course, sir. David stood up. Mr. President, Perla and Helm have agreed to begin deal negotiations. We will be moving on with that very soon. Cooperation between Welland and Swordland has increased to a new level. However, we are seeing its negative impact in Lesbia. The region is very unstable, with the incidents in Rumburg, Welland and Helgeland. We must be very cautious. We can't talk in more detail at our foreign policy meeting. We can. Thank you, Mr. Whiskey. Chiara was next. Our ministry is working day and night to improve our education system and increase its accessibility. We have since greatly improved our rural education building new school. We have since greatly improved our rural education, building new schools and bringing new equipment and books. We have accomplished a lot with our new curriculum. Our reforms will be greatly improving our output as a society. Lalia suddenly stood up. Mr. President, there is an important report from our intelligence officers. We have disrupted the radio signals of several active Bloodish Freedom Front militants in Berger. There seems to be some sort of preparation going on. Our policy is also under pressure from people beginning to protest again. We might need to implement some new measures soon. We will provide you with a more detailed report at a later date. One last thing. I would like to transfer the gendarmerie under the Ministry of Interior to improve the internal security efforts. If you need more help, I can surely arrange a transfer. Wouldn't have brought it up if it wasn't necessary. The Ministry of Defense shouldn't be meddling with internal security affairs through the gendarmerie. We had several incidents where they were too violent, too quickly, and it stems from military officers giving reckless orders at times. Well, if the security situation gets more problematic, then it might be necessary. It will eventually cause a problem between our forces. There are already miscommunications going on. Will I transfer the gendarmerie to the interior in the future? Yeah. I will support you in the gendarmerie authority transfer. Now it's your turn. Excellent. Elias smiled faintly. Thank you for your reports. I believe that's everything. Everybody packed up and left the white room. I went back to my office. The last 2.5 years had gone by so fast. Gut, dann haben wir nächste Folge eine National Speech. Ich würde sagen, das war's mit der Folge. Lasst uns ein Like und ein Abo, damit es gefallen hat. Schaut beim nächsten Mal vorbei und tschüss.